Chosen ones, why God keeps you behind the curtain until the right moment. Have you ever wondered why your life feels like it's been on pause, like you've been hidden in the shadows while others are out in the spotlight? Why doors seem to open for them, but not for you, at least not yet? Why certain dreams tug at your soul, but every time you move toward them, something invisible pulls you back? It's not that you're not gifted. It's not that you're not ready in the way the world defines readiness. It's because you, chosen one, are being kept behind the curtain, not as punishment, but as preparation. There is a divine strategy unfolding, one that requires you to be hidden for a time so that when you do emerge, it's not just as a participant in the world, but as a force that transforms it. God doesn't rush masterpieces, and you, whether you realize it or not, are one. You've been called, you've been marked, and with that calling comes a different path, one that doesn't always make sense when you compare it to others. You see them building, showing, sharing, succeeding. But you've been building in silence, in solitude, in stillness. You haven't been overlooked, you've been shielded. Because what's growing inside you is too sacred to be exposed too soon. And if God allowed you to walk into certain rooms before your spirit was rooted, those rooms would crush you. Not because you're weak, but because the gravity of your mission is heavy, and you need divine strength to carry it.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
There are things inside you that the world hasn't seen yet, not even you have seen them fully. Gifts you haven't tapped into, depths you haven't explored, visions you haven't dared to speak aloud. And that's why the curtain remains closed. Not forever, just until the moment is right. Just until the soil of your soul is deep enough to hold what's coming. Because when the curtain opens, it won't just be another performance. It'll be a revelation, or a shift, a divine unveiling. But let me ask you something: how do you hold your faith when the silence stretches on for years? How do you keep believing in your purpose when nothing around you confirms it? That's the real test. That's the part no one sees. The part where God is watching not how loud your voice is, but how quietly you can trust. Not how much you can do, but how deeply you can be. Can you stay faithful in the furnace? Can you honor the assignment when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when it feels like you've been forgotten? Because in those hidden seasons, God is not inactive. He's precise. He's stripping away everything that isn't aligned with your highest calling. He's removing relationships that can't go where you're going. He's closing doors that would distract you from your destiny. He's refining your character so your anointing doesn't destroy you. Because power without purity is poison. And if you're called to carry light, you must first face your own shadows in the quiet. We often think being chosen means being celebrated. But being chosen first means being separated, set apart, taken out of the crowd, hidden in plain sight. And in that hiddenness, God teaches you things others don't learn. You begin to hear in the silence. You feel what others miss. You become sensitive to the subtle, obedient to the invisible. You begin to operate not from ego, but from essence. And that realignment is what makes you unstoppable when the time finally comes. Imagine a seed underground. It's not dead. It's incubating, it's absorbing, it's preparing. And when the season shifts, when the warmth hits at just the right moment, it doesn't rise as a fragile thing. It erupts with power. That's you. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment, they weren't signs of denial. They were sacred markers of your becoming. That God has been writing your story in invisible ink. Just because the world hasn't read it yet doesn't mean it's not already written. But here's the part most people miss. You have a role in how this unfolds. God hides you, yes, but you must choose to prepare while hidden. This is not a passive wait, it's an active becoming. But your discipline now determines your impact later. How you steward your time, your thoughts, your gifts in this season will echo into the next. This is the training ground, the wilderness, the sacred forge. Don't waste it wishing for exposure. Use it to sharpen your sword. Use it to build the foundation no one sees, because what's coming will require everything you've built in silence. Let me be clear, when the curtain lifts, it will be sudden. It will be undeniable. It won't be something you force, it will be something you feel. A divine orchestration will put you in the right place, at the right time, with the right people, and suddenly everything will make sense. The years of obscurity, the unanswered prayers, the nights you cried out wondering if God had forgotten you, every piece will lock into place, and the world will say, "Where did they come from?" But you'll know. You'll know you were behind the curtain all along, being refined, being protected, being prepared. So I ask you now, right here, in this sacred moment, can you trust the pause? Can you surrender to the hiddenness? Can you honor the fact that your timeline is not meant to mimic anyone else's? Because chosen ones are not made on stages. They are made in silence, in stillness, behind the curtain. The wilderness within, why isolation is the crucible of the chosen. There's a wilderness inside every chosen one. Not the kind you walk through with your feet, but the kind that stretches across your soul. It's the silence between who you used to be and who you're becoming. And it's in that wilderness where God does his most intimate work. You see, isolation isn't evidence of abandonment, it's evidence of preparation. You weren't cast aside, you were called inward, away from the noise, away from the distractions, pulled back so you could finally confront the truth of your own essence. Because before a chosen one is revealed to the world, they must first be revealed to themselves. It's in the wilderness that the illusions fall away. The roles you played to be accepted, and the masks you wore to feel safe, the dreams that weren't even yours, but handed down by culture or fear or expectation, all of it gets stripped in the stillness. You begin to see what's real, what's eternal, what's yours, and it hurts. Because dying to what you were is the price of becoming what you are. That's why so many people run from the wilderness. But if you're truly called, you can't run from it. You'll feel the divine pull, the sacred ache, and you'll know this is the space where destiny takes form. Some of the most powerful souls on earth have walked through this kind of inner wilderness. Not just monks in mountaintop monasteries or prophets in ancient deserts, but ordinary people who were chosen in extraordinary ways. People who had to walk away from everything familiar just to find their true path. People who had to sit in rooms alone while their spirit was breaking and rebuilding over and over. People who seemed to be losing, but were actually being reborn. That's the paradox of divine isolation. It looks like a breakdown, but it's really a breakthrough. But here's what makes the wilderness sacred. It forces you to depend on what's real. When the applause is gone, when the recognition disappears, when no one's checking for you, you learn to hear the voice of God without static. You learn to walk by faith, not feedback. You learn to recognize your own voice, your own rhythm, your own truth. And you learn that you were never alone. God was always there, not outside of you, but within you, waiting for the noise to fall away so you could hear Him clearly. Let me ask you something. What if the isolation you've been cursing is the exact environment your soul needed to awaken? What if the silence is not a punishment, but a portal? What if the people who left were never meant to walk into your next season? And what if everything you feel you've lost was simply God clearing the room so He could meet you in undistracted intimacy? That's the kind of power the wilderness gives you. It doesn't just strip you, it equips you. You learn discipline. You learn resilience. You stop chasing validation and start living from revelation. And most importantly, you stop needing to be seen because you know you're already held. That's when you become dangerous to the forces that seek to control through fear and conformity. Because a chosen one who has walked through the fire and found God in the ashes cannot be manipulated. They cannot be silenced. They cannot be bought. But this isn't about becoming untouchable. It's about becoming true, and truth is forged in solitude. You will cry in this wilderness. You will question everything. You will be tempted to go back to comfort, to familiarity, to the version of yourself that everyone liked but you never loved. And every time you feel that pull to regress, you'll have a choice: stay hidden in falsehood or step deeper into your becoming. The wilderness asks you, again and again, who are you when nothing is left but you? This is why God keeps you behind the curtain longer than you think is fair. Because He's not preparing you for popularity. He's preparing you for purpose, and purpose requires purity. It requires clarity. It requires unshakable knowing, the kind that only comes from walking through the valley with no map and still choosing to move forward. So if you're in the wilderness now, don't rush out of it. Don't numb it. Don't bypass it with distractions. Sit in it. Listen in it. Let it do its holy work on your soul. Because one day you'll look back and realize that the version of you the world will celebrate was born in the exact silence you once tried to escape. You'll realize that the curtain wasn't a cage, it was a cocoon. And the isolation wasn't punishment, it was sacred refinement. But divine timing is precise why your delay is actually strategic. We live in a world obsessed with urgency. Everything is about speed, how fast you can rise, how quickly you can achieve, how soon you can be seen. But divine timing doesn't bow to human impatience. It doesn't move because everyone else is moving. It moves when the internal alignment meets the external readiness. And if you've been feeling delayed, if your life feels like a series of almosts and not yets, it's not because you're behind. It's because God is on time, perfectly, strategically, deliberately. You, chosen one, are not being punished by the weight, you are being positioned by it. We think delay is denial. We think silence means rejection. But in the spiritual realm, the most powerful movements begin in stillness. Before the wave breaks, the ocean pulls back. Before the arrow flies, it's drawn back in tension. And before your purpose is launched, your spirit is pulled inward, instructed, refined. Delay is not the absence of motion, it's the gathering of momentum. It's the quiet before the quantum leap. And only those who learn to trust that rhythm will be ready when acceleration hits. You might not see it, but your life has been preparing for something exact. Not generic, not vague, exact. There's an intersection between your pain and your power, your gifts and your growth, your story and someone else's breakthrough. And if you were released too soon, you might miss that divine collision. Timing isn't just about opportunity, it's about impact. It's about being launched when your presence won't just be noticed, but necessary. When what you've endured becomes medicine for others. When your voice doesn't just echo, it awakens. Have you ever noticed that the ones who truly shift the world are never rushed? They don't emerge because they're eager. They emerge because they're ready. And readiness is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's about having gone deep enough within yourself that when the spotlight finds you, it doesn't blind you. When the door opens, it doesn't distract you. When the platform is given, it doesn't change you, because you already know who you are. You've already wrestled with the demons. You've already chosen truth over recognition. So when the moment comes, you step into it not as someone desperate to prove, but as someone destined to serve. But here's the hard part. Sometimes divine timing looks like delay because your environment isn't ready yet. It's not just about you being prepared. It's about the people, the places, the systems being in divine alignment too. Think about that. What if the exact person you're meant to help hasn't even hit their rock bottom yet? What if the community you're meant to lead hasn't awakened yet? What if the industry you're called to disrupt still needs to be softened? You're not just stepping into time. You're stepping into a divine orchestration where every piece must fall into place. So the next time you feel behind, ask yourself, behind according to what? According to who? Are you measuring your life by a clock made by people who don't even know your purpose? Or are you willing to trust a timeline crafted by the Creator himself who sees every angle, every soul, every ripple your life is meant to create? This is why patience isn't passive. It's powerful. It's not just sitting around waiting, it's preparing as if it could happen any moment, while trusting that if it doesn't, there's a reason. That's where faith graduates from a concept to a lifestyle. You wake up every day with urgency and peace. You move with fire and wisdom. You release control not because you don't care, but because you care enough to not interfere with God's precision. Let me ask you a question that might change how you see everything. If you knew that everything you've prayed for was guaranteed, but it would only arrive when you were fully ready to carry it, what would you focus on today? Would you waste energy forcing things that aren't ripe? Or would you double down on becoming the version of you that can handle the weight of what you've asked for? Because here's the truth, God isn't just answering your prayers. He's preparing you to be the answer to someone else's. And that takes time. That takes process. That takes divine delay. But when the moment comes, when the curtain finally parts, it won't be just another opportunity, it will be your moment. The one you were born for. The one that makes every closed door, every lonely night, every silent season make sense. So hold the line. Stay the course. Keep becoming. Because divine timing is not a myth. It's the most powerful force in the universe. And it's working for you. The unveiling when God finally pulls back the curtain. There comes a moment in every chosen one's life when everything shifts suddenly, silently, and unmistakably. You don't always see it coming, and yet, when it arrives, you realize it had been building all along. All the waiting, the isolation, the refining, the invisible battles, they weren't in vain. They were sacred groundwork. And then, without warning, God pulls back the curtain. Not for show, not for applause, but for purpose, for impact, for divine revelation. This is the unveiling, and when it happens, you'll understand why you had to be hidden for so long. You see, the unveiling isn't just about you being seen. It's about the truth in you being revealed. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs clarity. It needs frequency. It needs souls who are anchored not in ego, but in essence. And that's what the hidden season gave you. It stripped the layers. It burned off the excess. It killed the version of you that needed to be liked, needed to be validated, needed to be first. And now, what's left is the version that's ready, rooted, real. When God unveils you, there will be no striving, no forcing, no begging for chances. The door will open, and you'll know it wasn't because you pushed, it was because heaven called. And when that divine appointment arrives, it won't look like anything you imagined. It will be bigger, deeper, more intentional. In fact, it will demand more of you than you thought possible. That's why the delay was necessary. Because this isn't about a moment of fame. This is about a lifetime of impact. And here's the divine irony: people will call it an overnight success. They'll ask, "Where have you been all this time?" They won't see the nights you cried in silence, the prayers you thought went unanswered, the internal wars you fought in the wilderness. But you'll know you were being built when they thought you were being forgotten. You'll know the unveiling didn't make you, it revealed what was already there. Some of you are closer than you think. You can feel it, like the air is shifting, like something in your spirit is whispering, "Get ready." That's not your imagination. That's alignment. That's the divine countdown. And when it comes, you won't need to announce it. The energy will speak for itself. The room will shift. The atmosphere will notice. Because when a chosen one steps into their moment, there's a frequency that can't be faked. But here's the part no one tells you: the unveiling is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the start of your real assignment. And that's why you must remain grounded. Don't let the spotlight blind you. Don't let the attention distract you. Remember the wilderness. Remember the silence. Remember who held you when no one else did. Because that's what will keep you steady when the world starts pulling at your gift. This moment is holy. It's not just about you being promoted, it's about you becoming a vessel, then a messenger, a mirror. And the more you stay aligned with the why, the more powerful your impact will be. You're not here to impress. You're here to awaken, to remind people of who they are, to carry light into dark places, to disrupt systems with truth. That's what chosen ones do. They don't just rise, they resurrect what the world has buried. But let me ask you something now, and answer it with your whole soul. When your moment comes, will you recognize it? Or will you shrink back into the comfort of who you used to be? Will you hesitate because it doesn't look like what you expected? Or will you trust that everything you've endured has prepared you to walk boldly through the door? Because you will only get one unveiling, one divine moment when everything aligns. You won't need to fight for it. You won't need to manufacture it. You'll just need to say yes, fully, fiercely, unapologetically. And when you do, the world will shift in ways you can't yet see. Not because of your talent alone, but because of your alignment. Because you didn't skip the process. Because you let God write your story instead of trying to edit it yourself. So if you feel the curtain trembling, if you sense the shift coming, don't run. Don't self-sabotage. Don't let doubt talk you out of your destiny. Step forward, not as someone seeking approval, but as someone who knows they were born for this. Because you were. Every delay was divine. Every setback was sacred. Every hidden season was holy. And now, chosen one, the curtain is rising. Not to show the world how great you are, but to show them how faithful God has been. Your unveiling is not for your glory. It's for His. And now it begins.